Some may need mystical whips, others may need proton packs, but all this lad needs to clean out a house of ghosts is his fists. This is Sega Masters. Quite the foreboding intro, wouldn't you say? Today's episode covers an original game, this time on a Sega card, and as the name and creepy music suggests, Ghost House is an arcade-like platformer with a spooky theme. Too bad the actual game won't live up to this cool intro, and once again we can probably blame the limitations of the card format. You're put in the shoes of a young adventurer named Mick, who could pass as Alex Kidd's long-lost Romanian cousin, who's on a mission to reclaim his family's treasure which has been hidden for centuries inside Count Dracula's mansion. Each of the 5 jewels is held by one of 5 Draculas, so you must search the different floors of the mansion to locate the 5 coffins scattered throughout each level. Of course, this is easier said than done since you must contend with the vampire's minions, such as flying bats, creeping blue ghouls, red fire-breathing things, and mummies that chase after you. Not to mention false floors and walls as well as booby traps. You mainly dispatch your foes by either jumping on top of them or punching them with your fist. However, the house also contains several elements to aid you. Passing a mounted candelabra will cause a sword to fly onto the screen, and if you can jump on top of it, you can temporarily wield it as a weapon. Other elements include overhead lights that will freeze your foes for several seconds if you touch them, and teleporting doors and portals which will zap you to different parts of the mansion. Once you find one of the coffins and open it with a key, which you get from killing a random enemy, Dracula pops out for a one-on-one battle. Basically, you have to try to get in your shots while he's wildly flying around in bat form, occasionally pausing to appear in his human form to menace you. Hit him enough times with either your fist or the sword, and Dracula crumbles to the ground in defeat, which earns you one of the 5 gems. Then it's off to find the next coffin to battle the next vampire. Defeat all 5 Draculas and a portal opens to send you to the next level where you do it all over again. Ghost House plays okay and tries to win you over with its Sega charm and character, but the gameplay gets tedious after a short time since all you do is run around looking to pick fights with Dracula. Battling the monsters can be a pain since Mick gets knocked around very easily and can go flying, often down a ladder or through a false floor. You'll need the sword to really stand a chance against the creatures since your fist's range are so short, allowing them to get in some cheap shots. Plus, they can easily trap you against a wall and pummel you mercilessly, leaving you helpless to stop them from draining your life bar. In addition, the controls have the reverse NES setup, meaning button 1 jumps and button 2 attacks, which can also trip you up. The battles with the vampires can also be a pain as you often have to try and maneuver in a cramped space, while Drac has no such problem flying around, plus he doesn't flinch when you land any blows, meaning he'll always get his shots in. If that wasn't enough, should you beat Dracula, but punch him one too many times, he may come back to life and you have to beat him all over again. The graphics are decent enough with some okay backgrounds and a few brightly colored sprites, though the mummy looks like a jumbled mess. But the 3 levels are pretty much identical save for some palette swaps and layout changes. The music consists of a boppy background tune that doesn't quite fit the setting, though your bouts with Dracula have a cool tense theme to them. The sound effects are mostly annoying, from the bouncing meatball creature to the irritating squeaking sound Mick makes with every step he takes, like he needs new shoes or something. And once again, the game plateaus very early since all 3 levels are essentially the same and you play them over and over with no ending. So despite its efforts, the lack of depth and some cheap difficulty make Ghost House feel too much like shovelware to really be enjoyable. A few tweaks would have helped, but the premise desperately screams for some variety, such as different settings or monsters to fight, and probably would have benefited greatly from being in a cartridge. Ghost House may be a nice quirky place to visit at first, but odds are you won't be staying too long.